Check. After peeling away the sand and soil on the surface, he immediately realizes this is most likely his wife's favorite gold. He cautiously looked back at his friend in the distance. After a moment of hesitation, he called him over. Tom looked at it and thought it couldn't be that lucky, so he took out his lighter, aimed at the stone of baking. If the stone turns black, then it's not gold. But the stone didn't change a bit. They were overjoyed. Now they could finally save 200 years of struggle. The two men agreed to dig up the gold together, then take it back and share it. But what shocked them even more was that the gold was even bigger than they had imagined. They dug for half a day, but never reached the bottom. They tried to break the gold out with their hands, but it was still in vain. Tom tied the gold to the car and started the engine. The rope broke, but the gold did not move. This shows that the weight of the gold is unimaginable. The two men immediately cheered. Once they got the gold, not only they, even their grandchildren would not have to struggle. Tom came up with his idea. He proposed, let his partner Jack watch the gold mine from where he was. He first went back to buy a backhoe. The round trip plus the purchase of the excavator is estimated to take 5 days. And this 5 days time, Jack needs to survive alone in the barren desert. Jack thought about it. 5 days of poverty in exchange for a lifetime of wealth and prosperity. It seems to be worth it, so he decided to agree. Tom repeatedly told Jack, save water and food. Don't wait for his return. He would die of hunger. Before leaving, Tom looked very happy. After Tom left, Jack rushed to cover the gold with stones and sand. Then he used the only piece of cloth to set up a small tent next to the gold, waiting for Tom's return. However, these 5 days, it was not going to be peaceful. Suddenly a poisonous scorpion slowly approaching him. Luckily, Jack was able to chase it away with a tree branch. At night, the barking of wild dogs was everywhere. Luckily, Jack is strong and strong. The wild dogs did not dare to approach, but Jack still kept his eyes open, staying by the fire all night. The next morning, he was taking a piss. Suddenly, he heard a phone ringing in his tent. He didn't even have time to put on his pants and rushed back to the tent, but the phone had already finished ringing. Jack had to keep waiting for Tom to call. While collecting firewood, Jack found the wreckage of a plane nearby. There was nothing on the plane, but the remaining pieces of the wreckage could help Jack block the wind and sand, so he used the pieces of the plane to build a shelter for himself. Then he continued to wait for Tom's arrival, but the debris could shield him from the sand, but not the flies and mosquitoes that were all over the place. Jack began to back off. He knocked down a piece of gold with a rock. He began to hesitate. He could make a fortune by knocking off a piece. Why be so greedy? But after 2 days of perseverance, Jack still put up with it. At night, the wild dogs in the neighborhood started to come in packs. They slowly approached Jack, trying to take advantage of the night to sneak up on him. Jack can only desperately wave the torch, but he was in the light and the enemy was in the dark. Jack is unable to fight. He can only pray for Tom.